the three thematics are violence against women, socioeconomic rights for women and girls, and increase the voice and participation of women in decision-making process at all levels. And the fourth priority, the procedural one, is called institutional culture shift. You are asked to contribute to the thematic priorities, and you will be affected by the procedural one, by the institutional shift. How this happened? Just to give you a very short example, and then I will leave the floor to Blerina, who will go into the details of it. But whenever you plan a plant for water and sanitation, or for energy, or for a street, a road somewhere, you should think about the impact that this has on your beneficiaries, impact which should be equal for women and men, young and old people. And what we ask you is to take this into account when you plan it. So just to give you a concrete example, sometimes we know that women fetch water. They spend millions of hours in Africa for going traveling and fetch water. We provide them with water pumps. We should take care of where these water pumps are created, because we know that they risk to be sexually assaulted every time they go to fetch water. So whenever you plan your pump somewhere, you have to think about this aspect, which is not strictly related to the engineering of creating your plant, but has a very strong impact on women's life. And so on. For the socioeconomic impact on women and girls, men and boys, of course, but also on voice and participation. You should involve women and girls in the decision-making process on where this plant should be created, or the kind of implant plant they need, and so on. For what is concerned with the institutional culture shift, you are affected, you will be affected, because the action plan asks everybody to be in charge of gender equality. So every colleague, in whatever sector he or she is working, is supposed to promote women's rights and promote gender equality. Within the action plan, we included some specific indicators which will be responded against to the Council every year. And these indicators prepare, or let's say, try to respond to major critics we had from an evaluation, independent evaluation that the Commission, DEVCO, published in April this year, and which denounced the lack of leadership, lack of context analysis, lack of accountability, of capacity, and of cash for the gender mainstreaming. So we cannot keep things going on this way. The leadership is extremely committed now from Mimica, Mogherini. They, for instance, sent a letter to your head of delegation insisting on their responsibility for the GAP implementation. The Director General, Fernando Frutuoso de Mello, is going to send a video message in January insisting on the same message. And he will also raise issues at the Development Days meeting in March, when all the head of delegation and head of operation will meet here in Brussels. The context, the lack of context analysis has to be covered by the gender analysis. I will leave Blerina speak in details about that. Accountability, we are creating a system for making everybody accountable, including and starting with your head of delegation. For instance, we included some specific questions about the GAP implementation in the EIMR, so the External Action Management Report, that the head of delegation and the director here in Brussels have to sign every year and send to the Director General. We work with the unit in charge of the result framework for providing sex disaggregated indicators. We will describe to you how this will work. We will insist on the correct use of the gender DAC marker, and because we know we are supposed to use it, but we know it's not used properly, so we will give you all the support possible to clarify the way we have to use it. And just for you to know that in delegation performance and unit performance here in Brussels will be measured. there are specific indicators in the action plan that we sort of minimum standards that we will take care that every delegation and every unit is applying. We will come to that as well. The capacity, lack of capacity was one of the critics. And this is why this webinar has been imagined as one of the resources possible for explaining as much as we can on how to implement the action plan. But of course it's not enough. We will provide training, we will provide material for you to use in order to improve your capacity in including gender equality in whatever you are doing. And cash, as I said, the G marker has to be better used. We included two specific indicators in the action plan. The first is that all new actions, so all the new programs, initiatives, call for proposal, whatever you are doing from January 2016, the 85% of those will have to be marked 1 or 2, meaning they have to be significant or having significant or principal impact on gender equality. And in addition, we decided to ask justification in the EIMR. So your head of delegation will have to explain why there are programs marked 0, meaning no gender impact. Because we cannot believe that whatever we are doing in cooperation is blind from the gender equality point of view. It cannot be. When we work with beneficiaries, we aim at benefit equally men and women, boys and girls. So none of our programs, or very, very, very few of them, can be gender blind. So this blindness can exist but must be justified. So we we'll go into the details of all this with the next my colleagues in the next presentation. I will ask you to give us feedback on this webinar, because this is the first we are doing. So your comments, your remarks, constructive critics are welcome. An email can be sent to me as soon as you finish, as soon as you feel comfortable doing it. And thank you very much again for being with us today, and see you soon, hopefully. Goodbye.